To the Big Apple, I had never heard the word summer used as a verb. But from what I could tell, the entire society stratus of New York City greeted summer with a mass exodus. For those that could afford it, summering meant scheduling into 2-day weekends all the things that we took for granted on a weekly basis in Texas: swimming, tanning, boating, golfing. The perfect New Yorker recipe for summering was taking your already hectic life of the city, drinking, shopping, eating, cruising, exporting it to a seashore community along with everyone you know from your life in New York, adding a few outdoorsy extracurricular activities, mixing in some sand, commuting traffic, and then stirring it all up into a frenzied madness. Summering ensnared all kinds: fags to Fire Island, snobs to Southampton, money to Martha's Vineyard. New Yorkers returned after Labor Day bronzed and exhausted. In Dallas, we just went to Lake Texoma and returned leathery and pickled. Summering for my family meant returning to the piney woods of East Texas to visit my grandmother in her mobile home trailer, next to a Dairy Queen and a catfish pond. I was just one half step removed from white trash. But in Texas, practically everyone was in the same boat, so it wasn't until I moved to New York that I began to feel embarrassed by my southern roots. I had never experienced the expansive wealth that seemed endemic to New York. But my new job with my friend Angela was giving me a crash course in summering habits of the rich and famous. After just 2 weeks of answering the phones at my new job, which I was instructed to answer in a breathy and annoyed voice, I found myself sweating nervously into the powder blue leather seats on the private jet of the firm's biggest client, Billionaire. Think charm of Steve Gutenberg with the ears of Michael Eisner. He was playing flight attendant on the short flight to Martha's Vineyard. He smiled as he handed me a crystal tumbler filled with soda. "Here's the Diet Coke you ordered. Did my mom do a nice job redecorating the plane?" Billionaire asked. "Well, it's really something. I'm used to Southwest Airlines," I said. He stared blankly, trying to connect to someone on the other end of the wealth continuum. "I think I own stock in Southwest," he offered. When Billionaire returned to the galley, I stared out the jet's window. Billionaire's efforts to make me feel comfortable just accentuated how out of place I felt in the midst of so much conspicuous consumption. And as we touched down smoothly on the island famous as a summer playground for the powerful, I wondered how I had replaced Heather Locklear as Sammy Joe on a northeastern version of Dynasty. Unlike the Hamptons, just a highway hop from Manhattan, Martha's Vineyard maintains its exclusivity because it's hard to get to. If you aren't one of the privileged several hundred with a private jet, you have to drive through the winding roads of the Massachusetts Cape and make sure to book a slot on a ferry crossing several months in advance. Even with a jet, you might find yourself suffering landing slots at unfriendly hours and enduring several minutes in traffic on the small runway, as air traffic controllers struggle to avoid collisions of Boston's wealthiest with New York's most powerful. The inviting charm of Martha's Vineyard, the Cape Cod cottages, the gingerbread village, Edgartown's white mansions built on the backs of whales, is punctuated by constant reminders that outsiders are not welcome. As we drove down one road clogged with black SUVs, Angela pointed to a gate. "That's where the Clintons stay. They borrow someone's home. They're Southerners like us. I'm not sure they're allowed to buy." Despite the constant reminders of social status, I found something quietly peaceful and reassuring about the summering citizens of the Vineyard, a sense of camaraderie, a collective sigh of relief. Whew, we made it. Now let's buckle down and kayak. You might not have been invited to the latest Democratic fundraiser down the street, but you'll get over it by taking in the sea breeze on a beach walk past the dramatic cliffs of Gayhead. I mean, who knows? You might even spot a Kennedy or 3.